Okay, we'll just give it a couple of seconds for the other people to sign back in, and then we'll continue from there. For those of you who are listening on radio, we've just taken a bit of a short break because we're using the Zoom platform, and Zoom only allows us 40 minutes of chat and then it cuts us out, but we're going back now. We're reconnecting. We'll be starting back in the next couple of seconds. Okay, I think we can continue, and then the rest of the crew will join us as we proceed. Thomas, you were on the platform, yeah? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. That's good. You were on the platform, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I think you can carry on, my brother, and the other guys will join us as we proceed. Okay, carry on and make your contribution.
Were you speaking to me, Thomas?
Yes, I'm speaking to you, Thomas. Yeah, please feel free to.
All right. Sorry, I disconnected and I reconnected again.
No problem.
So my name is Thomas.
Please carry on. Yes.
No problem. My name is Thomas. I'm in Wolverhampton.
Okay, cool. Great.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear, my brother. Thanks, yeah.
So my name is Thomas. I am based in Wolverhampton, United Kingdom. I'm originally from South Africa. I was asked to join the talk specifically for Soweto Day, which is 1976.
Yeah.
But listening to everybody's opinion and what the solution should be, it sounds like an open-ended topic, which is more intriguing more than anything. First of all, I want to say I agree with the young lady from earlier on, sister from Johannesburg, when she stated the fact that there's a lot of chat, there's a lot of talking, but not a lot of actions happening. And it seems to be the case throughout the whole world. It's like who's willing to take the first step and set the trend or make a difference. One thing I've realized that we do definitely need a combination of the adults' experience and knowledge. It needs to be then sent down to the youth of today, which are the presidents of the future, the doctors, the lawyers of the future. It is crucial because they need to understand where they come from for them to identify where they are going and to know where to go. Earlier on, you mentioned about solutions, about what do we do moving forward. It's not a simple yes or no or one-worded answer, I don't believe. It's a discussion and it's a big discussion that needs to be had. However, because the lady earlier on said there's a lot of discussions but not enough actions, it's a matter of deciding, like the gentleman said in London, that there needs to be a hub. We need a hub where we can all contribute knowledge, experience, and advice on what we think should be the way forward. Obviously, somebody needs to be in charge of the hub to make the decisions on where do we go on the next level. I admire what I think the lady said is Prima Sandy from High Wycombe. I admire what she was saying about need to educate the youngsters.
Just hold on, Thomas.
There's a lot of courses.
Sorry, Thomas, sorry to cut you there. Can I request that for those of us who are not speaking, please mute yourselves? Okay, carry on, Thomas.
I've lost my train of thought now, but bottom line is, yes, a lot of action needs to be done instead of all this discussion that we're having. I didn't know this group was even existed, but now I'm happy to be part of it and to know that it exists. I will be contributing as much as I can in the way forward, and I think that's important. We do definitely need unity throughout the world, not just in certain countries. We do need to stick together. We do need to empower each other, show each other direction on what to do next and how to do it. I think the crucial part is the hub, which is what I was beginning to explain earlier on, where a lot of knowledge and experience should be shared on information and advice, where one can take the advice and do what they wish with it, with the right guidance. I think having programs in different countries or local areas, wherever you may be in the world, is important. A place where you can actually go and have a face-to-face interaction instead of this virtual interaction we have. I think when there is face-to-face interaction, a lot more can be done instead of speaking to a computer or into a microphone. And that's literally all my discussion is. I did want to mention Soweto Day earlier on, which is why I joined the chat, because I was told it's about Soweto. As far as I can remember, I mean, I was young when I left South Africa personally. It was celebrated in a sense, but not very much celebrated because I lived in Eastern Cape and it wasn't that much celebrated. And to be honest with you, I didn't have enough knowledge about it as a youngster, but I came to this country and thankfully through my relatives, my mother and my uncles, I was educated about it. And now I go to festivals in the UK. Milton Keynes holds festivals every year with June 16th. Obviously, unfortunately, this year it could not happen. I was there last year, I was year before that. There's a lot of stuff that you can go and take part in, a lot of activities, a lot of, you know, culture, experiences, and it's explained as a presentation about what it is about and what they are trying to achieve in the future. And I think it's a great space to go and meet people and get acquainted with African politicians, so to speak. But that's my topic for today. But I'm all up for the hub. Let's get the hub going and let's move forward.
Sure.
Thank you, Thomas.
Thanks a lot.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Please feel free. Okay. Any other young people want to come in? This is your platform, guys. We're not here.
Yeah.
Queen first.
Yeah, I would just like to add something. My name is Ndai and I'm from London, Tottenham. I would just like to say that we need to start making the reconnection with Africa as well, and like what's going on in Africa and the politics that's happening down there, because a lot of us are distant, especially in the West. We don't know the full extent of what is happening. Like, for example, there's been recent talks about how the Chinese have been treating the Africans in their own country like second-class citizens. And there's also the debate going on with the CFA franc and the relationship between France and the Francophone countries in Africa and how they're still practicing their new neo-colonialist practices, and how we need to start linking up with the groups down there and start supporting them.
Sure.
Yeah.
No,
I think it's about raising the awareness as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We know what's going on, and making sure that people are aware of what is going on, because I think it's the fact that young people don't have a clue. So it's our responsibility and family's responsibility to kind of engage young people to acknowledge Soweto Day and acknowledge the politics behind things, and for people to kind of be a bit more understanding of what's going on and what's happened. But again, it's a case of promoting. I think it's promoting's important.
Yeah, I mean, for me, before I say anything, I'll introduce myself. My name is Dayo. I'm one of the founders of UPG. I want to greet my sister Prima from Wickham as well. That's my sister. She's done some big work for us, supported us so much in BPG. So I'm just bringing so much life to Prima. I'm so happy to see her in this call. It's been too long. It's been too long. Yeah, I think what I was going to say is that how important it is for us to look inwardly, because what we shouldn't lose sight of is the fact that the world is on like fire now, basically with a consciousness that we have been about for a very long time. And if they're all now running around and Black Lives Matter, and whether or not you love Black Lives Matter, what you feel about Black Lives Matter, we have known for a long time that the condition of our people has not been anywhere near the level that it should be. Yeah, that is just a fact. And that is why we are on the journey that we've done. We've decided this journey a long time ago, and a lot of people are just coming to it. So the point I mean is that for us to look inwardly, to start to codify some of the nuances and what gets created of what we call Pan-Africanism. So, you know, like me, like someone, we're in the Ma'at Centre now, and I've been in the Ma'at Centre in Tottenham for a lot of the time of the past 2 years. And, you know, unlike Prince Amari over here, I wasn't born into Pan-Africanism. You know, I learned that I've got a Christian mom and dad, and I had to, you know, find my way here. And now, starting that journey, what I realized is that you think you want to help Black people, but you don't even know the issues of Black people. You don't understand why they're in this condition. You don't understand how one is going to get out. You don't understand that not only do you have a depth of intellectuals out there that you can draw from, you have leaders that you can look to as well, if it's Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X. And what we also have is a crazy and beautiful legacy. Now, I don't know about, well, in fact, I do know about what's going on in Joburg, because you've got the EFF, you've got Winnie Mandela. I would say here, I've got Elder Pepperkai and Brother Sesso in the Ma'at Centre. A legacy, the Pan-African Congress movement, a legacy that we can take on from, we can take that baton from. So I think what responsibility we have to do is therefore to just codify what we're doing more. When I say codify, you know, like you say, if it's African Liberation Day, if it's Soweto Day, these things need to become bigger celebrations. Traditions. Things that take in, that can bring in people from outside. That, oh, we did it. If we're gonna do a homeschool, let's do a homeschool properly. Let's dish it out. So we understand that, listen, there is 1.2 million Black people in the UK, yeah, Black kids. We need to make it capable so every single one of them can get some of this education. We can't be snuffing around it. We can't just act like us in our own little corners is going to create the change. If we want to create the change, we need to see, literally understand the scale of the issue. And what I think we shouldn't forget is the fact that we as a community have already built so much. We've done so much things that we don't pay reverence to, we don't respect. We don't realize that we have monuments. We don't realize that we have people in our community that we can respect from. We need to reclaim our history truly. And you know, we can create that change from just, like I say, looking inwardly. This is why we always say that the big change comes from within. You know, it comes from understanding your spirit, understanding which traumas have made up part of who you are today, and ridding yourself of them so that you can actually think freely. And when you think freely, you're going to want to come together with your people. Because, you know, if you love yourself, you love your reflection, and you're going to want to come together. You're going to need to come together because,
definitely,
you know, the condition of the Black man is not, the condition of the Black man is a human rights issue. You know what I mean? It's, you don't have to think too much to realize that we as a people have to create that change. And when you can get closer, more intimately closer to the spirit within, start understanding what makes you tick, what makes you who you are, then, you know, Pan-Africanism and coming together as part of your community is just going to make sense. So, yeah, I just want us to understand that in that hub that we create, we have to create that, that we have to pay respect and reverence to who we are. You have to have pride in who you are, in what, in what we've done, what we continue to do, and what was done before us. It's so important.
Yeah, I agree, Dale. Like literally, what you're saying is it's so important that we do acknowledge ourselves, we do love ourselves, recognize that there's nothing wrong with self-love. You know, there's a lot of people in the community and the youth are they're hating themselves because of influences through the media. So it's about trying to kind of reclaim that with young people, to let them know that they are beautiful, to love themselves, to kind of wake up spiritually, all depending on, you know, their self as an individual. But it is about self-love. I think love is so important, and I think that's what we need to try and introduce again with the youth, so they're going to be a bit more open-minded and a bit more willing to embrace days such as Soweto Day, to actually understand it. But I think if the work's not done within, and we, you know, because there's so much external factors that have made us hate ourselves as a people, you know, we need to really keep on drumming and pushing it forward that we are beautiful, Black is beautiful, we are all beautiful, and we need to kind of encourage ourselves, encourage each other. So then once the self-love's kind of being combated, you know, people will be a bit more willing to embrace the culture, you know, not just Soweto Day, but obviously today is about Soweto Day. So we need to make sure that it is, you know, that it's being embraced and it's not being watered and washed down, and that it's being acknowledged. But it's, I think the self-love and the self-esteem and loving each other and respecting each other, I think that's a bit lost. And it's about trying to educate each other to reclaim that, because not everybody loves themselves, and I'm always, you know, but it's encouraging other people to love themselves. So I think self-love's an issue, because if people aren't loving themselves, they're not going to be open to their own culture and their own heritage. But that's why they need the hub or people within the community to engage the youth and to help them to have that gain, that confidence, you know, confidence that Marcus Garvey instilled in us. Do you know what I mean? Just, you know, just to give us that confidence, but they don't know. They don't know. Not everyone knows. So we can't just be like, just because you don't know, just leave it. Not everyone's going to be willing to embrace it, but those who are interested to own their culture, we need to be there, and we need to be practicing the love element of it, the making sure that we're taking care of ourselves, taking care of our well-being, so we are open enough to kind of take on and listen to other opportunities, listen to our culture, you know. Because we've been through a lot as a people, you know. Obviously it's not a case of trying to play the victim, but we have been through a lot of trauma, and we still are. And it's ranging from, like, not just Africa, it's ranging from the Caribbean with Windrush, everything. I'm not trying to steer away from the subject, but as a people we have been through a lot of trauma, and our Black men have been through a lot as well as the Black women. So it's about just the self-love element as well. I think so important.
If I was to just build on that, I think as well, like what we were speaking about previously is like that love, being able to go through the trials that we find in between each other. So we're talking about us as potential leaders of a united Africa in the future. And I think what's the major key for that is being able to love past the pain. You know, in the past, religion was blocking our community. Ideological differences have stopped our community. People's wanting for money has stopped our community. And when I say wanting for money, it's twofold, because we sometimes are so spiritual that we feel like people are wrong for even wanting money, like say they don't have kids to feed. But at the same time, some of us, because we're born into poverty, are so greedy that we can't think about how I can make money and somebody else can make money too. So we need to be able to love past those differences, to actually create agreements and create true foundations that we as a community can actually build on top of, because too often is the case is that we allow traumas, I would say traumas, and I say those traumas come from slavery, because, you know, we are so, and I'm Nigerian, but I still say our traumas come from slavery, because we so often like colonialism, because we don't trust one another. We don't want to build monuments with one another. We don't understand the simple maths of two hands are better than one. And those maths, we'd rather, especially we as Nigerians, we're really bad. Nigerians, they just go out and they're just going to be a boss on their own. They love, like, every Nigerian you know is a boss, but they don't work with each other. They're a boss as individuals. Can you imagine if a couple of these guys linked up and decided to do something, what would it look like? Do you know what I mean? But we're too scared of our own backs. And it's a problem. It's a real problem. It's a real problem. And if we can actually create that unity, you know, BPG, I've started it with my brother. You know, so it's me, Dio, my brother Femi, or David and Emmanuel, as some people know us as well. And that's just because me and my brother know how to argue and make up. You know, we did it our whole life. We've had fights, and, you know, he's 1 year younger than me, and we fight all the time, we argue all the time, and we come together. And that brotherhood is allowing us to be able to push no matter what. We just need a bit more brotherhood and sisterhood in our community that allows us to push on. And with, you know, social distancing and the mask, and the fact that all we know how to do is block each other on WhatsApp, like this world isn't creating that togetherness that we actually are going to need to be able to push past some of the trials and tribulations that are going to meet us along our way. Do you know what I mean? If we're going to build a nation, it's not going to be easy, do you know what I mean? But we got time, and it's definitely worth doing. You know, it's a beautiful thing to do. So, you know, but we can't be under any illusion. It's not going to feel nice all the time. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be ugly sometimes, and that's okay. It's okay, because, you know, the alternative is this Boris Johnson reality, and I'm not really feeling it. You know, yeah. Loving past the pain. That's one of our pillars in YA. Well, I love that triumphs over pain, and I think it's a major key when Black people are dealing with one another.
Sure. No, that's great, my brother. Thank you very much. I'm not sure we've got Alicia, whether Alicia is an elder or a youth, because the camera is not showing us who is on the line. Alicia, would you like to make a contribution? Because now we are taking it to a level whereby the elders will be coming in to make their contribution. Would you like to unmute yourself and maybe switch on your video as well, if you don't mind? Okay.
Greetings.
Greetings, Alicia. How
yes.
you
doing? Now hear me. I'm an elder, so I'd rather come in after. Can I come in after?
No problem, my dear. Not a problem at all. Yeah. And that's fine, you'll come in after, yeah. Okay, now we've had, I think every youth on the call has made their contribution and their thinking around where we are and where we need to go to. Prima just sent a chat and apologized for having to leave the session. She's got another meeting that she is attending. But she's requested that she be kept in the loop, and we'll have to make sure that we definitely do that as we go forward. What I find so concerning, having listened to what the young people have said, is that young as they are already tired of all these meetings that basically have create a program to discuss a program to discuss a program to discuss a program, and there's hardly any action, which is a very big indictment, especially against us as elders, because it's a sign that somewhere we got it wrong. Because we've basically maybe along the way created this environment or idea that the more we meet, the more we solve issues. It's like someone gave an example of fishermen who meet every year to discuss about how to catch the fish, how to have the best fishing rod, and which is the best line to use, and where do you throw your hook and everything like that. But they never actually go out and do the fishing. So maybe we need to begin to revisit our strategy as African people. And you guys are basically kicking us in the back, man, and you're getting us jumping. And I love it. It's really good. But for me, I think one of the most crucial things that has come out of what you have said, of which I hope you will learn from what I consider one of the fundamental mistakes that our generation and maybe the generation ahead has made, is that we are so prone to creating organizations. We've got so many African this, Pan-African this, Black that, and we are saying the same thing, but everyone wants to basically invent their own thing. And I love the fact that you guys are pushing us to this thinking that, look, we need a hub. We need to have an element which will draw us towards synergy. But before I can talk more, let me open it to the other elders to have their say, and then we will tie it together as we go along as to how now we begin to fuse the ideological part and the wisdom part, I hope, with the zeal and the action that the youth are really crying out for. Because the youth are basically saying, we're ready, we're ready, we want to do something, we want to achieve something, but there is something that is missing. And we as the elders have a responsibility to assist the youth to be able to move to that next level that they're talking about. And I love the fact that you guys want practical solutions. You're not just talking about what could be done, you are pushing for practical solutions. And I hope that we as elders will avail ourselves to be part of those practical solutions, not to end up standing in your way and therefore blocking you from fulfilling your mission. And as I'm opening it up to the elders, please feel free, anyone can come in, and then we will go along that way. For those who came in after, I am Sabelo Sibanda. I am the founder of the School of African Awareness, and Uphondo Community Network is the communication arm of the School of African Awareness. Okay, over to you. Any of the elders, please feel free to come in.
Yes, greetings. This is Ross Halden, actually checking in from the United States, but from out of Jamaica.
Greetings.
Greetings. I really appreciate love, as we would say, and appreciate the fact that the younger generation has an interest in the well-being of who we are as a people. One point that was made from one of the sisters is the aspect of self-love. We do need to embrace this reality of loving who we are as a people, right? As far as I always say, I guess within this circle, I would be considered as an elder, but moving within my realms, I'm a baby. I have, so, but I'll accept the role up as elder here. I must apologize on the behalf of previous generation because they have failed us, and we're not going to really blame them because of the psychological pain that they endured. Because we are prisoners of war. And being prisoners of war, slave labor was imposed upon us. Even though slavery was removed from amongst us, but that we're still prisoners of war under colonial regime and many other white supremacy reality. We find ourselves now with more educated individuals amongst us, which is a good thing. what we do with that education is key. We as elders now have to provide a platform for the next generation to work from. And that's kind of like what I'm hearing overall is that, you know, what's the next move from here? Because the younger ones are eager and they're willing to push us out of the way if needs be, you know, and I like that. I like that. But we as elders have to provide a proper platform for these youngsters to work from, because we're losing so many of our educated youngster to the outside entity because we don't have the proper infrastructure to assist them with what they need to do, you know? And I encourage the youngsters also, you know, not to neglect our tradition and our culture. It's very important to have an understanding of where we're coming from in order to know where we're going, you know? So it's, you know, we have to embrace our tradition and our culture that is being there guiding even our elders as elders, you know? But yes, continue to embrace the concept of self-love, you know, and hopefully with platforms like this now, we'll better able to make that connection and better, we'll be able to better assist with what need to make that connection to move forward. But we have to provide a platform, a lasting platform for the youngsters to stand on. You know, we cannot keep on losing them to the ways of Babylon. So I do give thanks, and, you know, I will sit in and give somebody else an opportunity to free up a sound still. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rasaldan. Thank you very much, brother. Okay, we've got others in the room. Thank you, Mama. Come in, please.
Okay. Greetings, everybody.
Greetings, Sister.
Greetings.
And this is Mayemi, the chairperson of the Pan-African Congress movement. And I just want to say how heartened I am to see our young people linking up, you know, across the diaspora and the continent. And, you know, I know though we've got our challenges and the frustrations, but something like this, when I was young, would never have happened. And so it's progress in its own way, that our young people in the diaspora are now owning their African identity. And, you know, I know we may not have achieved, or we're not achieving as much as we'd like to, but the very fact that they can, you know, identify themselves, because that's where it starts, because we know until the continent of Africa is free, none of us will be free. The only time that we're going to be respected as a people is when our continent is respected as a continent. You know, the same way other people, the Jews have Israel, everybody have their piece of land, which commands respect. So just this meeting today, for me, is truly an achievement. You know, I remember years ago when we used to have the Soweto Days rallies all up and down the country, and you know, we'd be there trying to keep the memory of those freedom fighters, because that's what those children were. Keep it alive. So I understand the frustration, but I think what one of the young sisters said earlier was about you know, marrying the kind of energies of the youth with the wisdom of the elders. Because the youth have the vitality, they have the skills. And, you know, we have to think, when somebody like myself, 50 odd years ago, became involved in liberation work, even getting a decent book about our history was impossible. Most of the books were written by white liberals. But we now have a situation where there's a whole plethora of information and knowledge and research, which has been done by Black people. So sometimes some of the gains that we want to see may not appear tangible, but there are things there, and we've got to look at, you know, the kind of oppression that we've gone through, whether it be it on the continent or in the diaspora. And certainly people like Garvey and others have laid a foundation. Information is power, and we have to arm ourselves. And there's nothing more heartening for people like myself and some of the other elders to feel that there are you young people coming up to take up the mantle and build on the legacy, because we've certainly, you know, we stand on the shoulders of our ancestors who've gone on before. So just to say well done, and this I feel is a start of better things to come. And most of all, I think one of the most important is when our young people, because as we know at one time, even children young people whose parents came from the continent would deny they were Africans, let alone those born from the Caribbean or the other part. And now when we get young people saying, I'm an African, as small as it is, it's progress. And we just have to make sure that, you know, we move ahead, and it's not just discussion and debates. There's nothing wrong with it, because that's how we learn, that's how we educate ourselves, that's how we learn from each other. But then it's to have tangible programs, practical programs that's going to change our lives. And sometimes it's not looking at doing the big things, it's the small things. You know, like they say, how do you eat an elephant? A bit at a time. And sometimes, I know the frustration with all what's happening, we want instant results, but we just have to take things slowly. That's and I think it's wonderful seeing the brothers and the young sisters as well.
Thank you very much, Sister Alicia. I think you've left me now in a situation where I don't know where I stand anymore. Once you mentioned the fact that you've been in the trenches for the past 50 or so years, I thought I was an elder. But then now that you've said what you've said, I realize that I'm really a young person at the end of the day, because I haven't been in the trenches that long, and I've just about made that age that you're talking about. And thank you very much for that input. We've got another 2.5 minutes left of this particular session. I see that Bongane has indicated that he wants to come in there. My brother, you can start and then we'll continue in the next session. So what will happen for those who've just joined us, because we are using the free Zoom platform, it will knock us out after 40 minutes, and then we will sign back on again on the same link. So if it knocks us out, give it like half a minute or so, and then sign back in again, and then we continue with the conversation. Over to you, my brother, and then if you're not done, then you'll take over again at the beginning of the next session. Please carry on. Please unmute yourself.
So certainly, you're referring to me. Thanks, Sabelo. Thanks to everybody. Not too sure. You keep on calling us elders. I'm not sure I'm an elder.
Hey, I'm not too sure.
Or maybe yeah. In any case, whatever I am. Thanks to everybody. Thanks particularly to Sabelo. And to all the speakers, particularly the young people. I've listened so attentively to all the suggestions and education, very instructive from young people. I'll just head on, go to some issues. I think based on what they've been saying, there's much that is done to dwell on the history. I understand Alicia is saying our history has been written by liberals, etc. There's a bit of history that, of course, is there. I don't know how we get it. Probably it's a mixture of liberals and other people who are writing such history. I think if we somebody referred to Marcus Garvey here, I'll try and Marcus Garvey Nkrumah here in Africa and Ghana. I think Kwame Nkrumah and his Kahoot, they were the one group that were futuristic. Kwame Nkrumah articulated future all the time. He talked about African or Pan-Afrikanism. And